Activating your God soul. A mystical exploration of fasting, prayer, and the awakening of the divine essence within. Chapter 1: The Divine Soul Within Man. Hidden within every human being lies a radiant core, a spark of divine light that we may call the God soul. This is not merely a psychological metaphor, nor simply the seat of our emotions or intellect. It is literally a breath from the Creator, a living fragment of eternal being. Ancient scriptures tell us that when Adam was fashioned from clay, God breathed into him from his own spirit. In that moment, Adam became more than dust, more than animated matter, he became a vessel of the divine essence. This distinguishes humanity from all other beings. Angels, jinn, and metaphorical entities may exist in their realms, but none of them were entrusted with the God soul. That sacred breath made humanity unique, and explains why prophets arose from among men, why revelation was directed toward them, and why man was placed as caretaker upon the earth. Yet this soul is not automatically awakened. It is present, but dormant, veiled beneath layers of appetite, distraction, worldly attachment, and constant indulgence. To activate the God soul means to strip away these layers, to still the clamor of the lower self, and to allow the divine spark to blaze forth in its full glory. Chapter 2: The Three Brains, Head, Heart, and Gut. Modern science confirms what mystics have long known: the human being has not one, but three centers of intelligence. 1. The head brain, located in the skull, seat of logic, analysis, and imagination. 2. The heart brain, thousands of neurons within the heart itself, governing intuition, compassion, and communion with higher realities. 3. The gut brain, the enteric nervous system in the stomach and intestines, filled with neurons that drive instinct, survival, and appetite. In the ordinary state of man, it is the gut brain that dominates. The constant cycle of eating and craving ties us to the earth and silences the higher voices. The heart's whisper is drowned in digestion, the mind's clarity clouded by excess. This is why fasting and eating little are such powerful spiritual tools. By stilling the gut brain, by quieting the demands of appetite, one begins to awaken the higher centers. The heart brain then becomes active, receptive to the voices of angels, visions, and divine intuition. The head brain, no longer dulled by indulgence, becomes a vessel for divine knowledge and illumination. The prophets knew this secret. They fasted not as a mere ritual, but as a necessity to still the lower brain and awaken the higher. Chapter 3: The Path of Fasting and Abstinence. Every path toward activating the God soul begins with discipline of the body. Eating less, abstaining from indulgence, and embracing hunger are gates to higher perception. 3 days without food clears the body of worldly fog. 7 days without food sharpens the inner senses. 21 days without food begins to transform the entire system. 40 days without food, the ultimate trial, awakens states of consciousness where the divine voice may be heard. This gradual path is not for vanity or show, but for purification. Every major prophet, sage, and saint has walked this road. Moses fasted 40 days before receiving the commandments. Jesus fasted 40 days in the desert before his ministry began. Muhammad would retreat to the cave of Hira, fasting and meditating, before the first revelation descended. Fasting is the language of heaven. It is hunger that silences the animal brain and unlocks the celestial one. It is emptiness that makes room for the divine word. Chapter 4: The Mystical Importance of Food. What one eats is as important as how little one eats. For food shapes the body, and the body shapes the vessel of the soul. To activate the God soul, the diet must become pure and light. Heavy foods, especially animal flesh, weigh the spirit down. At the beginning of the path, one should gradually eat less meat, focusing instead on fruits, grains, water, and foods closest to their natural state. The prophets lived simply. They ate dates, bread, olives, milk, sustenance of purity. By avoiding gluttony and greed, they made themselves transparent vessels for divine light. Purity of food equals purity of perception. When the body is fed with clean, sacred sustenance, the soul becomes a mirror for God's light. Chapter 5, Prophets and the Language of Hunger. It is no coincidence that every prophet was a man of hunger. Moses fasted atop Mount Sinai, and in his hunger the mountain shook with fire and divine voice. Jesus wandered 40 days in the desert, his hunger so great that Satan himself appeared to tempt him, but it was in hunger that his power began. Muhammad spent days in the cave, eating little, meditating, bowing, until the angel descended with the word Iqra. Read. Chapter 8, The Ladder of Fasting, 3, 7, 21, 40 days. The journey is like a ladder. 3 days, the body is shocked, cleansed, awakened. 7 days, the gut-brain surrenders, the heart begins to shine. 21 days, visions may appear, the soul tastes other realms. 40 days, one stands at the threshold of prophecy, ready to receive words from beyond. These stages are not arbitrary but are written into the fabric of creation. 3, 7, 21, 40, sacred numbers echoing in scripture, mysticism, and cosmic design. Chapter 9, The Breath of God. When Adam was created, God breathed into him his own spirit. That breath lies within every child of Adam. The angels were commanded to bow not to clay, but to the divine spark within him. To activate the God soul is to awaken that breath, to realize that your very heartbeat is God's nearness. Angels and jinn do not carry this, only man was given the honor. This is why fasting is not simply health or discipline, but the return to that original breath. The empty stomach allows the divine breath to rise, to circulate, to ignite the heart and mind. Chapter 10, God's Nearness and the Castle of Trust. The greatest secret is this: God is nearer to you than your jugular vein. The God soul does not need to travel, it needs to awaken. It is already seated in His presence. All that blocks it is illusion. Prayer, kneeling, bowing, fasting, meditating, these are not actions to bring God closer. They are actions to peel away the veil so you may realize He has always been with you. To trust Him is to enter His castle. To bow is to dissolve the ego. To pray is to return home. Epilogue, the Awakening. Activating your God soul is not a single event, but a path of hunger, prayer, purity, and surrender. By eating little, fasting much, praying deeply, bowing humbly, and meditating in silence, the heart awakens. The head becomes a lamp of divine knowledge. The gut, once dominant, falls silent. Every prophet walked this way. Every seeker must walk it too. And when the God soul awakens, you will discover what was always true. That there is no existence but God, and you are His reflection, His breath, His beloved creation. Activating your God soul is the highest journey of man, a path of hunger, prayer, purity, and surrender. When the veils are lifted, you will discover that there is no existence but God, and that your life is but His breath flowing through you. And remember, do not forget to subscribe for more videos, so that this path of knowledge and awakening may continue to reach your heart.